I averaged 20K to 30K a month in net income as a high-ticket closer in my first year. Became one of the top closers at the largest sales training company in the industry. Recently, a $6 million a year business invited me to come speak at their penthouse and yacht to train their team. Here are the brutal truths I shared with them to succeed as a closer that most people don't want to hear.
You guys teach me French and I train them, I give them to you guys. Yeah. I'll give you another example too. So one of our students, his name is Alex. Alex, when he first came to us, making about 3K euros a month. Now, after we started working together, he got to 10 to 15K a month euros. His sales manager came to me with the exact problem that you guys have, which is, hey, listen, our closers, once they make 3K a month, like they don't want to do more. So in terms of Alex's situations, I do believe he's a very rare case. So finding those people, number one, is a rare case, but some people are just like that. Because I've asked him, like, hey man, like, you don't need to make more money. Like, why do you want to make 10, 15? Why do you want to get to 20? He's like, oh, I just want to be the best version of myself. Like, he doesn't need to make more money. So some people are like that. In my case, when I started out in Korea average income is about maybe like 3K, 2 to 3K euros a month. Now, when I first got my first sales job, I was making 2K USD a month. And so, but at that point, I could not stand, because at that point I was living in my parents' house. And then I saw other people living the life that I wanted. So people traveling to like Miami, Monaco, whatever it may be. And when I looked at that, it pissed me off because these people are not better than me. They are not smarter than me. Why am I still here? And when I looked at the leaderboard, because there's about 25 closers on that team, I was number 23. And so I hated that because whenever I hop on a Zoom call with everybody, there's no way, these people look dumb. And so that hated that. So when I first got into sales, maybe that's egotistical, maybe that's delusional, but either way, I got in, and so I'm like, I'm gonna get really good at this. I'm gonna get really good at this. Otherwise, like that's just a promise I made to myself. And so that's what I did. And so the last dollar that I had, I invested into a sales program, which costed me 17K USD. At the time, I had 3.5K USD to my entire name. I gave them 3K for the payment plan. Worked my ass off. I woke up at 3 in the morning every morning because I was living in Korea talking to US leads. And so I did not complain. Another part of that is because I was in the military for 2 years. So that work ethic is already there. Like no one needed to tell me what to do. No one needed to force me what to do. Like I was already there, right? 100%. And my sales agency too, the sales agency I was at Sales Sniper, a lot of people were in the military because the CEO was from the Australian Special Forces. His job was in Afghanistan killing terrorists. That was his job, and then he started a sales agency. And so he attracted more people from the military. And so that was the entire culture. Like the company's name was called Sales Sniper. So it's like, yeah, like we go out there, we hunt, we make things happen. So like that entire culture, yeah, it may take some time for you guys too, right? Because in the beginning, yeah, maybe you get like less applicants for sure. But as you develop that, but there's also gotta be a light at the end of the tunnel too. Now, at my first sales job, first month I made 2K. The next month or the month after that, I got to 8.4K USD a month. So I went from number 23 out of 25 to number 2, being the number 3 on that company. And I was the newest person there. At that point, I was recruited by Sales Sniper. And so when I was on Sales Sniper, I was on a call with one of the managers at the time. And so he told me, okay, here are the different offers. And then when he showed me the numbers, I knew I was gonna make way less money. I did the math in my head. I'll be making 1/3 the money, a lot less. But in my mind, I didn't even think about it. I was like, yeah, let's do it. The reason why is because even if I had to work for free for 3 months, that was worth it because I wanted to learn from the best people. At the time, Matt Ryder, who's the CEO of Sales Sniper, and Anthony Vazzari, who I had a call with, I wanted to learn from those people. I didn't care. I just wanted to be good. So you know the thing about Hormozy talks about, right? Season of learning versus earning. So I was in the season of learning. So even if I make less money, yeah, like I'll do that. And then I did, right? And then I became a top closer on that offer. There were about 4 closers on the team. I was number 1. I was outselling the other 3 reps combined by myself. So like these closers, I made more sales than like all 3 combined. And that was like it was my first month. For them, they've been on the offer for like a few months, right? So I did that. And after that, I was recruited by 7th Level, which is now the largest B2C sales training company. I got on there and I became the number 2 closer out of like 20 closers or so. And then I had the lead sales experience. And then again, same thing on 7th Level. I was waking up at 3 in the morning. And then when I was in Europe, I was working until like midnight, 1 a.m. I had days, when I moved to Dubai and when I was still working for 7th Level, I would sometimes be up at 4 or 5 in the morning. Because let's say as an example, I had 8 calls booked, 6 show up because my show up rate was better than everybody else's. But let's say I make 0 sales. I stayed up, going into the CRM, just calling leads all day until 5 a.m. and I make a sale. And then after I make a sale at 5 a.m., then I go to bed because that was just a promise I made to myself. And there's screenshots examples too that I found later. And that was because it wasn't about, like, at that point, I don't care about the money, like whatever, like my apartment's paid, I can travel, I can give my parents money, whatever. But the drive that I had was, I just wanna be better. I just wanna be the best. I wanna be better than everybody else. Now, that could be coming from different places because, like when I was younger, for example, right? When I played sports, I went to school in America for a few years and I was never good at any of the sports. So when I got into sales, I'm like, okay, all throughout my life, I felt like I wasn't really good at anything. This is the one chance I could actually be good at something. So the money is great, right? Like it gave me the freedom, all that kind of stuff. I gave my parents money, all that kind of stuff. That's great. I can do that now. But what else though, right? So I think that's the thing is like, the thing where Justin and I were talking about is once people go from point A to point B, right? Like your closers as an example, they went from point A, which is maybe they don't have a job, they're not making enough money, they're working in like an office. Now they get to point B, they're making some money online, they have a bit of freedom. But if they stop there, they don't set a new goal, they have no reason to do more. They have no reason, right? Same thing is, when I had my highest month at 36K USD a month, I was living in Colombia and my living expenses was 1,400 USD a month. And I was making 36 USD a month. So at that point, I had no reason to make more money and do more. Why would I? I'm living good in Colombia. And so what I did was like, yeah, am I gonna stop here? Am I gonna find like another reason to actually like do more? So that's when I came to Dubai. I came to Dubai for one day. And then after that, there's a whole nother world that maybe you guys can relate, right? You saw it's like, there's a whole nother world, right? You see like Rolls Royce, Porsche like flying everywhere, like apartments like this, and then infinity pools. I'm like, there's a whole nother world. I want to do more. So it's always, that's why I talk about the ideal lifestyle exercise is having your reps map out. Okay, great. You went from point A to point B. What's point C? Do you want to stop here? Most people want to do more, right? Tony Robbins talks about the 6 core human needs, and one of them is growth. And so if your reps want to do more, okay, how much do you want to make more now? Let's say they want to make 7K, 10K a month consistently. Let's say as an example. Okay, why? Let's map out your ideal life first. How does your ideal life look like? What's your dream apartment? Is it in Paris? Is it in Bali? Is it in Dubai? What actual building? What neighborhood? So that's what you do, okay? Go to the property website, look it up. How much does rent cost? It's gonna cost, like actually like writing it down. Okay, you got that apartment, great. Do you want a car? Great, what's your dream car? Porsche, BMW, Lamborghini, what do you want? I want Rolls Royce. Great, Rolls Royce. How much is that gonna cost? Do you wanna drive around? Do you wanna get a driver? I wanna get a driver. How much is that? 90K a year, okay? Do you wanna travel? Yes, how often? I wanna travel like 4 times a year. Great, do you wanna fly economy class, business class, first class, private jet? Business class, great. How much does that cost? And a lot of times, people get, especially younger people, they get comfortable once they can start paying bills and they can pay their apartment and travel a little bit. But what about their parents? What about other people in their life? Yeah, you can pay for your bills, that's great. What about your parents though? Are they still working? Do you want them to work? No? How much is it gonna cost for you to actually retire them? So I was on a sales call with a prospect like a few months ago. That was the exact conversation we had. Because the guy in his corporate job, he was making like 80K a year, something like that. It's like, yeah, man, I'm just comfortable. Like, I'm doing good. And, I just wanted to like find out what you do. In the beginning, he was a bit standoffish. Later on, we got deeper. Yeah, man, like that's great that you can pay for your own stuff. Like, you have a comfortable lifestyle. Do you have parents? Yeah. How old are they? 60, 65. Do you want to do something for them? Yeah. Like what? Retire them. And then this guy started crying on the call. And then he bought. Because like, man, yeah, I never thought about it like that. Like, I didn't know I was being selfish. Right? So it doesn't have to be that, but things like that, it's like sometimes people don't think about these things because people's immediate goal is like, let me pay for my own rent. And later on, they have like other stuff.
And do you think that we must do it with the closer, with the team?
I'll do it to everybody.
Okay. Because we do it, but not so far. We say, what's your goal for the month? And we made, I did it with Mana, one of our closer. She wanted to buy a camper van and travel to La Réunion. And I said to her, okay, how much for the van? She said 30 euros. I said, okay, how many times? She said me like 3 months. Okay, how many clothes by month? She told me the number. Okay, how many cards? But she did it 1 month.
So that's the thing. It's good. So step number 1 is identifying what you want. Step number 2, how much is it? Look it up. Yeah. But step number 3 is the most important, which is have them go live that for a day. So as an example, this is the exact exercise that Matt gave me when he was CEO. I was closing for him. So he said, go live it for a day. There's about 150 sales reps on that agency. I think I was the only one that did it. So I looked up, okay, Dubai. So I booked out a hotel for $1,000 a night. I went there, and I think I did like, I don't know if I did like business class or something like that. I booked a flight, I went there. It was scary, but okay, let me just do it. So I went there, really nice place. Because when people get a taste of success, it's hard to downgrade. It's very hard. If someone like, Matt told me this too, once you fly business class one time, you cannot go economy ever again. And I think, like you're exaggerating, whatever. You're being pretentious. Then I did it. Ever since that day, I never went back to economy. I can't, like at this point, right? And so, and it's not like I was in the military for 2 years. It's fine if I stayed in economy, but because I got a taste of success. Same thing is Alex as an example. I told him to do the same thing. Hey man, go do it. What's your dream car? I think it's like Mercedes C-Class or whatever maybe. He's like, okay, let me go do it. He booked out the hotel room. He did it for a day. He's like, yeah, after that, I was like actually like really fired up. I was like, man, like that's crazy. And then he got to 10, 15K months. And then he actually got his dream car, Mercedes C-Class. Like he actually has that exact car. So it's like, if your reps are kind of complacent, like this could help them as well. It's like, okay, like not only calculating it, but go live it for a day, for one day, just one day, that's it. Do you want to be in Dubai? Book your flight. Do you want to fly economy or do you want to lay down in the sky? Okay, first class, book it. All right, go do it. Like we cannot force people to do it, but we can encourage them to do it, right? Like how about we do this? And then not everybody will do it. It's just how it is. That'll also be a sign of like how serious this person is. But if they go do it, ever since that day, my life has never been the same. When I'm in Dubai, I cannot sit still. Because I like Dubai because I told this people, the people think it's funny, but when I came to Dubai, I never felt so broke and insecure in my entire life. And like that was the most money I've been making. But because like your standards increase. Environment is the biggest thing, I think. Environment, virtually and in person. Because I have another friend, like when we're in Korea, like we're chilling. You know, we're on like the top 1% or whatever it may be. So like it feeds our ego. Like we feel better about ourselves, but like we don't like to stay there for a long time. That's why whenever I say like someone wants to go to Thailand or Bangkok, I'm like, yeah, like I don't know about that. Like that's good for like a vacation, but if someone goes there, like they'll become like very complacent. Most people, not everybody, but a lot of people become like very complacent, right? Because it's just that kind of thing. So yeah, like doing that, just environment. If they're around other people that are making more money, it's very hard for them to not do that. Like in Dubai, like I don't have to force myself to work harder. Like I see what's around me and then it's just a natural progression. Because otherwise you're using willpower. Willpower, we only have a finite amount of that. If we have to keep saying like, I need to work harder, or like you guys going to your closers like work harder, it's gonna be exhausting for everybody, right? But if you create that environment, number one, maybe within your team culture, but also like having a conversation with them, like, do you like where you're at, like Paris or whatever it may be, right? Or like, do they wanna be in Dubai, like whatever it may be, right? And if they're in that environment, or do they wanna go to like a more expensive area of like Paris? So if they do that, they see what's around them, like they're gonna naturally wanna do more, at least for most people.
Is this a job?
100%. So that's why, like, whenever I bring on like a student, aka a sales rep, or like if I'm placing a sales rep to a company, I always say, like, I'm not here to babysit you. You need to be able to at least identify what your problem is. And when you have a problem, number one, here are the resources to go through. Okay, here's a training course. Go through that first, that'll be number one. Number two, go through like the Slack channel, whatever you guys have, like a Google Doc. And then after that, if you still can't find it, come to me or like come to the training call. But don't come to me with a problem. Come to me with the problem and give me two solutions. So always like we had that, I always had that when I was a sales rep, right? Like whenever, the last thing I wanted was I didn't want to go to my sales manager or business owner with more problems because they've got a lot of fucking problems to deal with. So I'm not gonna give you more problems. So what I'm gonna do, so as a closer, as an example, in my last company that I sold at, the company was doing about like 3 million a month. And the problem that we identified was something in the fulfillment. And so what that was doing was X amount of revenue lost. And so I identified that. And after that, what I did is I paid money out of my own pocket to study that matter. It wasn't about sales, it wasn't my job. But let me go study that. I brought it to the company and then we fixed it. And then we got that refund rate down, dispute rate down, upsell rate up, all that kind of stuff. So that's the culture that I would encourage that you guys have in terms of, okay, guys, like have like a team meeting or like whatever. Whenever you have a problem, here's step number one, resource to go through. If you guys have like a training portal, go through that. After that, come to the team training call. And number three, don't come to us or like anyone on the team with just a problem. So just two solutions. You guys are closers. That's like being a business owner within a business. If you guys want to keep progressing, if you guys want to make more money, keep progressing in your career, give more for your family and the people you care about, then you don't just be stuck at problems. You guys are not problem creators. You guys are closers. Water closers, problem solvers, solution providers. So that's a hardcore culture I would like keep installing within the team. Yeah. The problem is that in sales, women still need to be able to at least have characteristics of masculine traits. That doesn't mean they're men, but as an example, during a no-show, they're already on the dialer dialing. Or on the call, if the prospect is making excuses or not taking responsibility, then they need to be able to say like, hey, can I offer perspective on that? You know, like if you can get talent where they're not gonna be soft and they're like what we call sharks, right? So they're savages, meaning that like they have the empathetic side, like they have that, like the feminine traits as well as the masculine traits, like actually going for the close, objection handling, sitting there, like not taking no for an answer, all that kind of stuff, right? So then having that and like following up, either you get those people and or if not, then you at least need to be able to get those people to that stage, right? It's like, hey, listen, Manon, I know we've had this conversation before. Like if you want to get to that 7K a month, 10K a month, like obviously we know that it's gonna require a different level of not just skill set, but also different level of characteristics from you. Because you just calling me, just crying about the no-shows, do you feel like that actually solves the problem? Do you feel like, that's what Layla Hormozi does well, right? Like she's a female, but she's able to tap into that. But she also had like the empathetic side and like they have that side too. But she's able to see things very objectively. Like, okay, cool, problem, solution. Problem, we fucking solved. At least I'd have, with the current closers, I'd have those conversations, like more like tougher conversations. Like, hey, listen, like you're not a baby anymore, right? So you're trying to get to 7K, 10K a month so that you can XYZ, like whatever you guys talked about, like so you retire your parents, whatever it may be. Do you think that that woman, not a girl, but that woman who has retired her parents, do you think that they'll be going to their supervisor just crying about the problem? Or do you, like, and then you have them answer that? And you're having those tougher conversations. Like at times you gotta be the bad person. The onboarding process, it depends on like a typical skill level of the applicant. If they're like brand new, the most important thing is prospect knowledge, right? So prospect knowledge is in like, okay, what are the typical prospects' desires? What are their pain? So on and so forth, right? So having them get a good understanding of that. Client testimonials, case study interviews, those are very good. Also having like a Google Doc, right? So I work for like a pretty big sales agency in like the info place, right? So what we did was that we had like an info doc whenever we hopped into like a new offer, like a new sales job. So from there, okay, here are the desires, here's a successful sales call recordings, here's a script, so on and so forth. Now a great skilled closer, they can just go in and like on day one, they can start making sales, right? So a great closer, so like an A player, like a killer, they don't need like a week of like onboarding. So like I don't want to like toot my own horn, but whenever I went into a new offer, I started taking calls on the first day and a full calendar. For like an A player, like that makes sense because like we can figure stuff out. You know, like, okay, like this is the problem, yada yada yada. Okay, like we figured it out. But for like a newer person, yeah, like I said, prospect knowledge, pains, desires, what's the prospect's lingo, so on and so forth. That's number one. And yeah, like having also like do you guys have a staff portal, like a video course for your new closers coming in? Yes. Yeah, so I'd have that, okay. Yeah, for sure. So like I would do that, right? And then like role plays, call reviews, stuff like that, as long as you have that. Yeah, in the beginning, like you said, outbound self-set and close, that's good. Like calling those people up, self-setting and closing, you start with that. Once you hit KPI, we give you more calls. If you're going below KPI, we take away some of those calls and let's make sure that you perform. And what resources do you need from us? So the 15% close rate, we talked about the biggest constraint, right? So now we narrow down within the close rate. So what is causing the low close rate from what you guys are seeing? What is happening there?
They don't have the skills. Yes.
What specifically though? Like what's, as an example, what's the biggest objection that the closers are facing right now? What's the most common?
They are security. Yeah, this is a problem. We have like a lot of objections because French people are afraid of invest in themselves. So they want to think about it, to speak with their husband, or everything. But the thing is, they are afraid to like pay and never see their money again.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. So if you're getting a lot of fear objections, which is very common in like the BizOp career transition space, and predominantly you're talking to female prospects, right? So like they tend to be more fearful. Like that's just how it is. How old are they usually?
23, 24. Like.
Okay, cool. So at least they're not like 18, 19, so they have like some life experience. Yeah, like younger people typically have more fear, right? So in the sales call structure, I don't know what you guys are doing right now exactly, but throughout the whole discovery process, meaning that when you're asking the questions before you get to the pitch, we need to help the prospects get into a place where they embody the characteristics and an identity of someone who gets outside of their comfort zone. So I know it's not like a business per se, but it's kind of similar to that, right? Being a community manager. And so the biggest objection you're going to face with those offers is, like you're saying, like the fear. With every BizOp offer, I've sold BizOp, that's like my main offer that I sold, or like my first sales jobs. Prospects are very afraid of making a transition because they're used to not getting outside of their comfort zone. They're doing like an other 9-to-5 job, right? Now with 9 people on a 9-to-5 job, they don't need to get outside of their comfort zone. They know when they're gonna get their paycheck, they know when they're gonna go to work, they know when they're gonna finish. And so when they get in a situation where they need to make a buying decision, something different, now it scares the hell out of them. So you can do different comfort zone frames throughout the discovery process. So I'll give you an example, right? Number one is you gotta help them realize what is their problem, how is it affecting them, and that pain needs to outweigh the fear they're gonna have at the end of the sales call when they hear the price. As an example, what's a common problem that your prospects have?
A lot of hours in our job, there are not a lot of money. They don't want to have like a boss. Yes. They want to spend more time with their kids. We have a lot of pains.
Yeah, for sure. So you got to help them realize, okay, so first you go into the first level pain is like, okay, I'm not making enough money. I don't have enough time. I got to deal with the boss that I hate. Okay, there's a surface layer. Yes. But we go deeper. Okay, so by you, how many hours a week do you work? Yes, I work 50. Okay, by you doing that, what are you not able to do? What is it taking you away from? I'm not able to spend more time with my kids. How old is your kid? Yes. She's 3. Okay, so you not being able to spend more with your kids, I mean, they only have one childhood, right? So like, how do you feel about that? How does it make you feel as a mother not being able to spend more time with your daughter? So that's like one step deeper. Okay, how long has that been going on? It's been going on for like 6 months, 7 months. Okay, we got the pain. After that, we gotta go into what have they tried in the past to solve that? You guys asked that question as well, right? Okay.
Yeah, this is exactly what we do and what we say to our closer, but they don't do it.
Why not?
They try, but I think it's really hard for them. Maybe because they don't want to hurt people and they don't want to make them cry, or I don't know. You see what I mean? Or
Okay, so they're afraid of asking the more difficult questions.
yes, that's exactly. And
Yeah.
I think the problem is we have closers, but at the beginning, before to become closers, I had 2 choices. Community manager or closer or something, and they just take closing, but because it was here, but this is not.
The closers are like all closer or team closer are like the target.
Yeah,
It's the same, the persona.
Okay.
We target.
I think we have clients. There are a lot of fears, and then it's difficult for a closer to take lots of calls. Because there are a lot of information, and it's not so as in the real estate where the people come and say, I want to do this and I know what I must to do to become there. Their clients are very afraid, and so there are lots of fears, there are a lot of things to do and to say, and so the closer don't know where they must to creuser, to go deeper in the pain.
Yeah, so maybe like the closers have a bit of like you're saying, like the limiting belief, like the mindset thing, where like they're afraid of asking the tougher questions, right? So it'll be mainly be just helping number one, helping the closer see things from a different perspective. It's like, yeah, but you can help them feel better about themselves by being in that shitty job. But if they don't make a change, then they just stay with the same situation, right? So pain is necessary for them to actually want to make a change. Like someone doesn't go to the gym until they become like so overweight and that they hate where they're at, right? Until the doctor tells them, hey, you have one more donut, you're gonna die. The pain becomes bigger, then now they go to the gym, right? Same thing with the closers, right? They gotta understand that, okay, in order for this person to make a change, then yeah, we gotta have the difficult conversation. They need to feel their pain in order for them to even consider wanting to make a change. Because the prospects have been making and living life for a certain way for X amount of time, right? So they've been dealing with the same pain, like them not being able to spend time with their kids or whatever it may be, for 6 months, 9 months. You ask them, hey, what have they done something about it? And they say nothing. Why not?
And how can we make understand this?
The way I would say it doesn't need to be like the way you say it, but because I have a very direct way of like coaching people. So I'm just like, well, we just have the difficult conversations. or you're gonna keep having 85% of people just keep saying no, their life stays the same, you don't get commissions. Which goes back to the thing that you guys are talking about, is like the closers are not hungry. So number one, what's their income goal, right? So I think that's the thing that Justina talked about, the ideal lifestyle exercise. For the closers, what is their income goal? What do they want to make? Let's say like 5K, 7K, 10K a month, whatever it may be, right? But why though? Why do you want to, so we want to have that conversation with the closers, like why do you want to make 10K a month, right? Just like how we talk to the prospects. And they say, okay, like I want to retire my parents, yada, yada, yada. If they're making 2K a month or 3K a month, the closer, could they retire their parents with 2K a month? Maybe not. So if that's not the case, that's got to have a different conversation about that. Going back to number one is like having the difficult conversations with the prospects. Okay, like these are the questions we ask. Otherwise, and then also at the same time with the closer, like you got to have a tough conversation with them as well, right? Like if you tell them to do something and they're not, then that's got to be a conversation to have. Like why aren't you asking those difficult questions? Like we already talked about this several times. Now, if you're at least trying and then you're making mistakes, maybe like the tonality's off, okay, like we can coach on that. We can talk about that. But we're coaching you to like, okay, you have a problem, which is you're getting fear objections, you're losing deals. Here's the solutions we're providing, do this. If they're not, and that keeps continuing, like why are we keep having this conversation? Like we already talked about this, right? So at this point, I'm very, my tolerance level is very, very low in terms of like anything, right? So it's like, okay, we talked about this multiple times. Why are we still talking about this? If not, like that doesn't make any sense that we continue.
And how do you do to find a hungry person?
So that's another thing, right? Okay, so in terms of the candidate, like getting the candidates in place, there's different things you can do, right? So, yeah, for sure. That's why, like, even in the interview process, like I'll just make that very clear. Whether like the hiring VSL you guys have, or whether it be like in the interview itself, it's like, okay, cool. Like just because the problem is, yes, like the high ticket closing space is becoming like almost like a lifestyle thing, which is like a huge issue, right? So yeah, in that interview process, I would make it clear that, hey, just so you know, this is not like a passive income thing where you chill on the beach in your pajamas, you're gonna make 10K a month. It's not like that. If that is the case, I'll say like we end it here, like no problems at all, right? So this is gonna be like actual work. Right? Yes, it provides you the freedom, like location freedom. You can be other places if you want. It provides you with the income, like you eat what you kill sort of thing, meaning that your work ethic is you increase your skill set, you make more money. However, great outcomes come with great effort, right? So even from then, I'll just weed out the lifestyle people, right? So like some questions you can ask is like, hey, like, so how many times do you travel each year? You can ask them that. If they travel like so many times, like international travels, bit of a red flag. Like, why are you traveling so much? It's fine if they travel like 3 to 4 times a year, whatever it may be. But like if they have an unstable lifestyle, number one, that's a red flag. Also, another question you can ask is, hey, what do you think about the digital nomad lifestyle? Which I know is a bit different from like what you guys help people with, right? Which is like, hey, become a community manager, have like the freedom that you want. But when hiring closers, I would ask, hey, what do you think about the digital nomad lifestyle? If they say something on the lines of, yeah, I think it's great, I can travel, da 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 da, they're like so excited about it, okay, like, you know. And also you can ask like, hey, what do you think makes a great closer? That's another question you can ask, right? So after that point, like depending on the answer, because like what they think is like, hey, what do you think makes a great closer? Then if they say like some fluffy answer, that's like, okay, like maybe this person's like a distorted reality of that. At that point you can decide like maybe you're gonna like kind of coach them through that, or it's gonna like weed them out completely. But if they say something on the lines of like, yeah, sales, like I know, it's like it's gonna require hard work, I'm ready to do that, da da da. Okay, that's a good sign at least from that person. So I'd be ruthless especially if you guys are dealing with that problem, I'd be ruthless in the hiring and the interview process.
Is that okay to give him more time, or you have to cut? If it's 2 weeks, it's 2 weeks.
Depending on, there's different factors. Number one, can this person, if I give them a little bit more time, like is it even worth it? As an example, if they're not coachable, it's like you're telling them to do something for the 3rd time, they still doing it, like why are we talking? Right? So with those people, it's like, okay, you're gone. Like we don't tolerate that here. And also make that clear, and like even in like maybe even like the marketing, or like at least like the marketing for the candidates, just making sure that when you go into that, like they already know what they're going in for. So I'll give you an example, right? So my second ever sales job was for a sales agency called Sales Sniper, right? So they've done the sales for people like ClickFunnels, Jeremy Miner, Ryan Serhant, Bradley, all those kind of big names in the info space. And so the culture they had, like back then, like in the prime state, the culture that the Sales Sniper had was no baby birds, which now I call princess closer, meaning that you're not gonna sit there like a baby bird waiting for marketing to book you warm leads. You're not gonna sit there. Whenever you get a no-show, you're already dialing and you work hard. And then you're practicing your script over and over and over again. Otherwise, you don't work here. Like you don't work here.
Yes. But if we do this, we have no one.
Yeah, so training and management wise, I mean, there's, like I said, different things, right? Like, so you can bring on more like savages, or in the meantime, with the current closers, you have that conversation. Like, hey, listen, like, we're trying to get to the next level. We're really trying to grow the company, like, help more people make a bigger impact. Everybody's gonna grow. At that point, I mean, you can make a decision. You either stay the same and you can get left behind, and at which point, I don't know how much we can like continue working with each other, or you can actually step up to hit your goal, and we're here to help you with the different resources. We're here to help you. But if you're not following along, then yeah, it's just difficult for us to keep continuing.
She's a red flag. She's a hard worker at the same time.
No, but I spent a lot of time with Justin meeting their friend, trying business class, and I just want the same. And this is exactly what you said. And I think, but for me it's the same. I began
sales team. So yeah, whenever like someone does a good behavior, then you like do a shout out inside of that, right? Yeah, for sure. Like, but also like focusing on the positive behaviors that you want from them, which I'm sure you guys are doing. But like, as an example, if like let's say one of her sales like Manon is like doing like follow-up. Say shout out to Manon, like she just like during her no-show, she just didn't like complain, like she don't have to do a follow-up. She closed a deal from that. Is the byproduct of your hard work, so keep it up. Closers, but they're already closers, but they help closers make more money.
Clément Villon là. C'est le seul qui fait ça.
No one.
POV, you land in Dubai, house music starts playing automatically. That's how it works. POV.
What is your philosophy to closing? Like, is it more about like when you close? Is it more about trying to avoid objections before they come? Or are you much more like, let's just get through the prospecting phase, the pitching phase, and then let's take the objections afterwards?
You know, sales is like a funny thing because there's a whole debate of like, hey, should I just prevent the objections or should I just overcome the objections? And I'm like, well, why not do both of that? Because it's like a marketing thing, right? So every sales trainer is going to be like, oh, this is like the only way.
Yeah.
Just objection handling is the only way, or like mindset is the only way, or like my fancy way is the only way. Is it? I don't really care what's the only way. I just care like, okay, what's like the, if it works, it works. So yeah, objection handling on the call, objection free handling, objection handling. But also what a lot of people don't talk about is like the pre-call process to actually get more people showing up and actually addressing some of the most common concerns before the call even happens. That's my thoughts on it. But it's a very boring way to do it because a lot of people just want to see like, hey, they want to see like the objection handling, like the fancy like word tracks and all that kind of stuff. So those are the videos that go viral, right? Because they think they need that. But oftentimes what people think they need and what they actually need is two totally different things. And salespeople are kind of funny, man. Salespeople are kind of like guys that think they can go into a bar and pick up any girl. In a way a bit delusional, not in like a healthy way. The salespeople think they're good, but in reality they're not.
Yeah, it's funny. I had a friend who was closing, like when we did our info product, we were very much on, at least my philosophy is like pre-handling objections.
Yeah.
It's like doing everything before, so it's like they have no reason not to buy.
Yeah.
And then he went to Charlie Morgan, and then they were like, just like prospecting phase and pitching phase, maximum 15 minutes, and 45 minutes objection handling.
Yeah, that's one way of doing it. I mean, everyone has their own style, you know. Some people just like to do that, just like handle objections all day. I don't know about you, I'd rather not get that.
Yeah, true.
Like number one, how about we not get there in the first place? And then if we do get it, okay, like now how do we overcome it? I just like that.
How do you feel? It's also more of like a lot about the prospecting, right? It's like figuring out this person in front of me. Are they the kind of person who's going to have a lot of objections? Then it's more focusing on pre-solving. And if this is like kind of a person who is more easily closable, then we can take more of the objections on the back end.
Yeah, 100%. You gotta be able to read each prospect, because you'll see like a commonality of, okay, like sales is sales, yes, but some people are, for example, like they're more logical. They like to get to the point quicker. So hey man, like get to the point, like, you know, just different people, right? So like the way you sell is like, maybe to some people you push in their emotions a little bit, right, about their parents and stuff like that. Some people is like, okay, like it's like hard facts, numbers. I'm more in the latter category. And some people need like, okay, like they need to help them like overcome their fear and stuff like that. Some people like they don't have fear. It's just like, hey, like this gotta make sense. And so being able to identify, okay, like what person am I kind of talking to, which comes with a lot of reference experiences, meaning they're talking to different types of prospects, as well as knowing how to handle like having a framework of that too. But I think the biggest problem with the sales industry is that almost every sales trainer has
a tendency of extreme narcissism. And I only find that in the sales training space and in the dating coaching space. Like those two spaces, and it makes sense, right? Maybe that's why they got like a fairly decent amount of success. Because in order to have success with like human interaction, you gotta, I guess, somewhat have that. So yeah, in the sales training space, it's super interesting. It's like everyone is like a very, like there's one trainer in particular that he used to like keep commenting on my videos on Facebook, on my reels. Just like poking like shit at it. I was like, I had no problem with that person. I thought he was a good person, right? In the past, he and I had like good chats, but he's like commenting like negative things about it. I was like, I don't really care, but I'm like, is this like a VA? Like this doesn't sound like you, man. Like what happened? And then he blocked me after that. I was like, yeah, what is this? And then he still comments on my YouTube videos from time to time. I was like, hey, good seeing you too. And so it's very rare to find like normal people that are actually good in sales and like the sales training space. I'm a bit of a weird kid because when I learn something from people, then I'll just give credits to them. So yeah, I learned this from that person, I learned from XYZ other person, which in the info space in general, people don't do that. Like I don't think you have to. I just think it makes sense. So if I learn something from this person, yeah, I learned from that, I learned from that. The problem becomes people just see one way of living life, one way to sell, whatever it may be. They just take it as gospel and that's the only way to do it. Yeah, maybe. If it is for you, then like fantastic. Just because someone works 12 hours a day doesn't mean you have to.
You feel like it's important in sales as well, but like find one few people that you genuinely look up to, like where you feel like this is the kind of person I want to become. And then adapt more like their style instead of, let's say, going to the extremes. So mostly, maybe the Charlie Morgan, being like, I gotta take their advice. Because in the end, like, I don't want to be like that at all.
I think it's mainly identifying one person that you want to model after, and then you're just doing that to the T, number one. So Hormozy talks about this, right? Number one is replicates, so doing it to the T everything. And then number two is reiterates, right? Another way of putting it is like number one is model after, and number two is modify. I think that makes sense. That's what I did, right? When I was learning from Jeremy Miner, I did everything he did to the T. Even the way he talks, like, just being the boring guy. Do you like? And that works fantastic over him, but only one person in the planet talks like Jeremy Miner, which is Jeremy Miner. I don't know anyone else that talks like Jeremy, right? Number one, I just replicated it. That got me some level of success, which is good. And then after that, so I don't really talk like that. So now let me make it work for my personality, which is a work in progress. It's a still work in progress. But eventually you make a sense for like your sense of humor, your personality, you let that shine. And then you're making it work for you. And from there, like that's when I'm like, okay, like this, I feel more normal. That doesn't mean that if you talk like super monotone, it doesn't help. Then like you should like just talk monotone, just being yourself, right? Like the just being yourself is an extreme, like it needs to be with caution, right? Because like when I was 19, I was like, I don't know how to talk to people. And then I was like extremely shy and timid. So if I were just being myself, then that wouldn't help me with any of my life goals or my business goals or whatever it may be. So it's okay. So take the principle of what's working and then modeling after what works for your personality and then your goals and stuff like that. I think that makes the most sense.
How did you get better at speaking? How did you train yourself?
Oh man, so I think I tried a lot of things. Like the biggest thing I did was just the volume of conversations. So when I was 19, at that point, I was at a pretty low point in my life for a very silly reason. Looking back, it's like a very like first world problem. You know, I had like no friends back then, or like I didn't feel like I did. And I didn't know what I was gonna do in my life. It felt like sometimes it feels like everybody else has their life figured out, except for you. So you're just like, like what am I doing with my life? Like you feel behind, right? So, and I had that, and then it seems like we would have these like events, and like I went to like all guy high school in Korea, and then whenever we would have these events with like girls coming over and stuff like that, I was the only one like I didn't know what to do, like I didn't know like how do you do this, and so I was like, okay, let me just figure something out. So what happened was on YouTube, I found these like prank videos. You know those prank videos where like you go up and like these like cheesy pickup lines and stuff like that, like Batman pickup lines and Pokemon pickup lines. I was like, when I saw that, I was like, dude, you can't do that. You can go up and talk to random strangers. Because I didn't know that was a thing. Because I just didn't know that was a thing. Especially in Korea, like we don't talk to strangers per se. So I was like, oh wow, like you can do that. That's cool. So I started doing that. First I tried to like do it on my own. Like I just like went out and like tried to like talk to random strangers. But I always chickened out because I was like, the words were all about here, but I couldn't like get them out because I was like, oh, what if the person thinks this? What if they say this? Da 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 da. And then eventually I found someone from a forum. Looking back, forums, how sketchy, creepy does that sound? But I found like one dude from a forum was like, hey, like I'm in Korea. Like who wants to go out? Like, hey, like I don't know much about that, but I want to hang out with you. All right, cool. And then we go out and like he just pushed me to like start talking to strangers. And then that's really like just cold approaching strangers all day. Whether it be like for like a romantic interest, right? For like women, or just like random like old Korean men in the street trying to like ask for directions, try to get outside of my comfort zone. And then I would like work on one thing at a time, which is like, okay, like today, let me just work on holding eye contact. Tomorrow, okay, today, let me just talk on talking louder because they cannot hear me. They don't understand what I'm doing. So what I would do is I would just make like one big sticking point. I'd identify that and just work on that for the whole day. It's like, okay, 10 conversations, 50 conversations, whatever it may be. And a lot of times people will be like, that's how current people are. Like when you walk down the street, like they're like, you know, they don't want to talk. So it's like, okay, because in America, I think people are more like, they talk to strangers and stuff like that. Yeah, what's up? But in Korea, it's not that culture. So just facing that. But what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? So for the entire summer, I think I went out 6 to 7 days a week, going out to street, talking to people, going out to nightclubs. Going out to nightclubs is also because it puts you in like an anxious mental state, which I think nightclubs do that on purpose. Me having been a club promoter after that. There's like loud music playing, there's like a bunch of other people, you're bumping into people, there's like drinks, champagne, DJ, like you gotta somehow talk loud and try to capture people's attention. It wasn't what even before I got into sales, like that really helps. And I didn't know that would help me in sales because I didn't know I would get into sales one day or do business. I don't know. I just wanted to like figure something out. I just wanted to do something in my life. That helped. After that, I started making YouTube videos and just doing book reviews. I had nothing in mind. Like you can like scroll back to my YouTube channel, you can see me looking over like 10x Rule by Grant Cardone or How to Win Friends and Influence Build, those kind of random books and doing book reviews. Just because like, I didn't do it because I knew I was gonna make money. I just did it because, oh, let me just like, I don't know, it's like a reminder to myself almost, like me practicing speaking. So I did that and then I got into sales and after that I just practiced it so many fucking times. I think that's the biggest thing is whether it be sales or any skill, people just don't try hard enough. I think that's the biggest issue. People say they do, but they in reality don't. That's the biggest thing. Like people think they're good, but in reality, if you're so good, why are you not making the money you want to make? Why? And people blame like, it's the offer, it's the leads. It could be. But why are you not on a good offer in the first place? Like being a good sales guy, being a great closer is like being a hot girl. If you are good, if you're so good that you never have a lack of opportunities. Does a cow look a beautiful girl? If she lands in Dubai, she's gonna be on a yacht 2 minutes later. If she lands in Miami, she's gonna be in a Lamborghini 1 minute later. Like it's not rocket science. If you're in demand, if you have perceived high value, then you get put on good opportunities. And so when people say like, oh, like it's about time, I gotta get the reps in, I have the skills. Do you? Maybe. Like if you have the skills, why aren't you on a offer and then on a good offer, you're making the money you want to make? One thing that my previous mentor and boss, Jeremy Miner, told me is, you are what your commission checks say you are. And I mean, there's a context to that, right? Just because someone made more commissions does not always mean that they're better at sales. Because there are better offers. I'm not denying that at all.
Like numbers don't lie.
Yeah, but also if someone's just making like 4K a month, 7K a month, like that's a different story. Because I know when I was at 7th level, there were reps, there were closers that are doing like 30, 40, 50K a month in commissions. And then they got on 7th level, they struggled to make 10. Because at that point, that becomes a skill set issue. Yeah, for sure, there's stuff like that too. But if someone's stuck between like 5 to 10, and they've been there for quite a bit, like if you're so good, why aren't you on a good offer? Like I got recruited, I got poached. And I don't even think back then I wasn't even like that good. I was just like what people thought was better than most people. Not the work ethic. It's funny because I never considered myself good at sales because I was at an environment where it's such a high standard. Like Sales Sniper back then, at 7th level back then, it was like the Harvards, it was like the MITs, those kind of places. And so because the standard was so high, like I was training under people like Matt Ryder, former CF 7th level, Marco Cortese, Anthony Fazzari, Jeremy Miner, for God's sake. I didn't never consider myself good at sales. And once I got out of 7th level, that's when people, like I got more of that because I started listening to other people's sales call recordings. People started listening to my sales call recordings and stuff like that. And like, dude, like, how did you do that? Like, that's crazy how you did. I'm like, yeah, maybe. And then later I found out was that the standard in the industry is so low. Yeah. The standard in the industry is so low. It is crazy. So I remember one time Hormozy was talking about in a video that these days it's so easy to win. It's so easy to win because people are so soft. Most people are just princess closers. I was driving by here. I actually saw a tower named like Princess Tower in Dubai. I didn't know that was a thing. Like there's like a princess tower. A lot of closers should be living there because a lot of them are just princess closers. They're saying like follow-ups are only for shitty sales reps. Yeah, maybe. But the people saying that were the people that struggled on 7th level when we both sold on there.
It's like a C student with like huge consistency will always outperform an A student without consistency.
Like if someone has the work ethic, and as long as they pair that up with the processes and skill set and the right people and the right opportunities, like they get to where they want to go at one point or another. And the thing is, if someone has like a really like high level of work ethic, then like other people want to give them more opportunities. Like for sure, like even in my student career, if someone I know, like the best opportunities, I'm gonna send them to people who have the most skills and the most work ethic. It's not rocket science. Like squeaky wheel gets the grease. And when I say squeaky wheel, I don't mean like them just complaining and just talking loud. It's just that they let their work ethic and their results and their skills to the talking for them.
It's one of the guys that were closing cold goal, and he mentioned as well. It's like some of the months where they almost didn't have any leads. Like he was not the best closer at all, but he just had his pipeline figured out. So when some of the closers were making like 0 because we're not getting good leads, we're not getting any lead flow. He was just following up, calling. And he managed to still pull like 40, 50K a month on months without new calls coming in because of just closing his pipeline.
Yeah, 100%. I remember when I was on vacation with my friends. I didn't want to go on vacation because I was about to hit like another record month. And then my friends like, yeah, like, listen, we haven't seen each other in like a year and a half. Let's do something. So yeah, we went on vacation, went to Boracay, which is in Philippines. Very beautiful sunset, very peaceful place. I can't see myself living there for more than a week because I would go crazy, but I was there for like a week or two. And I shut off my calendar, obviously. I still wanted to get some dials in. And during that week, I collected I made 4K in commissions that week with maybe 1 or 2 sales calls. And it's not like super high price package either. Like, I mean, yeah, we have a 3K price point, we have a 10K price point, we have a 16K, but most people are broke, so we end up selling the 3K. So with that, like even with no sales call, with my shitty internet in Philippines, on my Airbnb, I still made 4K in commissions that week. You can get bitter or you can get better, right? You can complain that the leads are dry or the offer's shit. I mean, if the offer's so bad, then go get another offer. If you're so good, you don't have any issues getting on a good offer. Because what you do is you don't do any fancy tricks. You go to the ideal offer you want to get on, and then you say, hey, these are my results. Here it is. They see that you let the numbers. That's what I did. Like when I got out of 7th level, I didn't know what I was going to do. So I just made a post on my Facebook saying that, hey guys, I'm looking to sell part-time. Here are my numbers. Here's my track record. Here's what I can do. And then I had 30 offers in my DMs from one Facebook post. And then I got offered some CRO opportunities, right? Chief Revenue Officer for like a 600K to 1 million a month business. And then with that opportunity, it would have been like a 50K a month income opportunity for me if I would have taken that. If you're so good that you don't have any issues, really don't.
La luna te trajo con el sol te vas. Sueles desaparecer cuando más te quiero ver. Como una estrella fugaz. Una noche más. La luna te trajo con el sol te vas. Qué rico lo hicimos ayer, hoy te quisiera tener. Pero despierto y ya no estás. Aunque no tengamos título, contigo me la vivo cada capítulo. Entre tu boca y la mía hay un vínculo.
How much do you make?
I don't have time for
How much do you make? How much do you have? Just for the younger generation, just for the younger generation. Just for the younger generation.
I'll say this. Work hard. Believe in yourself. And don't forget to buy my course. Because we have it in a little bit.
I'll say though, it is very, very funny. A lot can change in 1 year. And I'm being that serious about that. Culture is so with the most successful students inside of real sales systems and the accessible. Today, we got another student, one testimonial student from a student named Max. Okay, so when Matt first came to us, he was closing at 9.5%, and he knew he had to change something. Because what's the definition of insanity? Well, keep doing the same things over and over again, expecting a different result. We all know that. You say obviously, but well, it's not fucking obvious because I know some of you don't do that. You keep doing the same thing, hoping that something changes. So maybe it's not obvious. The students, when they come in, if they're super hypey, it's like, hey, Brian, I'm gonna be your best testimonial. Bro, I'm so excited. Those tend to be actually the worst students. It's very ironic, isn't it? Because I found that, this is my hypothesis behind it, those people, they have a lot of emotional ups and downs. And because of that, when they first come in, they're like hyped. They're like, oh, dude, Brian, I'm gonna be your best student. And then whenever something doesn't go the way they want it to, which in life and sales, that'll happen inevitably, they're like, oh man, this sucks. So they get discouraged very easily. But what I've seen the best students inside a real sales system is they're very calm and collected, and their emotional regulations are very constant. You know, I've been trying to make money online since, I believe, 2017. And I tried all sorts of stuff. Trying to post on YouTube, building a personal brand. I'm doing affiliate marketing. I'm trying social media marketing agency, and I spent 5 years not making money. But I knew I wasn't gonna quit. I was not gonna be a quitter, and that's the biggest thing is you gotta ask yourself, are you gonna become a quitter or not? Because there's like, life's gonna throw shit at you. So most people cannot persist. That's what they're most people. I move with such urgency, and a lot of people ask me, Brian, like, what would you contribute your success to? And it's that sense of urgency. I could not stand being mediocre. And a lot of times when I see people after a year, 2 years, they're in the same spot, they just don't have that sense of urgency. And you know why? Because they're comfortable. Dude, I hated my situation. It's not like I'm about to go homeless, but the sense of mediocrity and just not having the life I want, we have one crack at this thing called life.
If you learned something from the video, but you're going, okay, but how do I go land my first role as a high ticket closer even with no experience? Where do I go find them? What do I say? How do I close these deals? We actually boiled it down to a 7-hour mini course. It's one of the most popular videos on this channel. It's not as in-depth and personalized as our actual training program, Real Sales System, but it should give you something. So you can go here or the first link in the description box below.